I remember I went to some Women's Enterprise Day. So this is supposed to be like promoting women in business, right?
Okay.
And I went to it, and during the initial talk, or no, there was a few talks, and then some woman stood up and she goes, I find it interesting though, because like you'll get these requests to come and speak at promoting women's business days.
Yeah.
But they'll say to you that they're not, even though they're charging at the door, they're obviously making some kind of money, they don't have the budget to pay you.
Oh yeah, of
so
course.
the irony of them wanting you to come and speak and they're not willing to. So there's that. But of course there's places that can't afford it, but there's definitely places that have budgets. But I'm just wondering, I'm wondering, it was just me just thinking to myself, like, have people reached out to you yet?
Well, I do need to do what I preach, because what we're trying to do for survivors is to address the tokenism. Getting survivors onto a panel just to kind of make you look like you've got a survivor's voice on a panel.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue at the moment in the sector. And those survivors need to be paid, because we're bringing them as survivor-led experts.
Yes.
But they're the only expert on the panel that's not getting paid.
That's the problem, isn't it?
That is a problem. Yeah. So that's ingrained in victimhood, not survivorship and survivor-led expertise.
Yeah.
That's the shift that needs to we need to see happen. So they need to be paid and valued like everyone else on the panel.
Yeah, no, that is interesting.
And there's me not valuing myself either and doing all this unpaid things as well. So I do need to practice what I preach.
And I think it is interesting, and it's a female thing as well. Because I even know women that have problems just discussing money and fees.
Oh yeah, God, awkward.
Yeah, isn't it interesting?
Yeah. I don't know. What's the value for your 1 hour or even 20 minutes of your time?
Well, this is it. But it's like, it's not just 20 minutes of your time, because you have to prepare something, you have to get there, you have to look good. Welcome back to the Laura Dowling Experience podcast, where each week I bring you insightful and inspiring guests that will open your mind and empower your life. Before we get into today's episode, I would love to ask you for a little favour. If you like this podcast, and I know so many of you do, you could really help me out by giving it a nice rating, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the podcast. It may not seem like a big deal, but actually this really helps to keep the podcast high up in the charts, and that means that I can keep bringing you brilliant guests who are insightful, inspiring, and full of wisdom that we can all learn from. Thanks a million. Now let's get to it. Glow from the inside out with my Fabu Skin, Hair and Nails Glow, which blends 12 active ingredients including reishi mushroom, amino acids, vitamins and minerals to support collagen production and skin, hair and nail health on a cellular level. See the amazing before and after pictures of fuller, thicker hair, radiant glowing skin and longer, stronger nails on fabuwellness.com. Available on fabuwellness.com and in pharmacies and health food stores nationwide. My new book, Love Your Vulva, is out now. From thrush to BV and skin conditions, STIs to incontinence, prolapse to vaginal dryness, periods and everything in between. I cover postnatal, postmenopausal and post-cancer intimate health too. Love Your Vulva is available now in all good bookstores, pharmacies, Kilkenny Design and at lauradowlingofficial.com. Ciara, thank you for joining me today. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
I would love you to introduce yourself to the listeners and tell them why you're here.
My name is Ciara Mangan. I'm here as a founder of, I suppose, Ireland's first survivor-led charity organisation that supports victims and survivors of both domestic abuse and sexual violence. And I'm also here as a fellow survivor of sexual violence. And I'd love to just, tell you a little bit about my journey.
Yeah. So where did this all start?
Where it started was back in 2013 when I was heavily persuaded to go to a party that I didn't want to go to. I ended up going to the party, and within an hour and a half of that party, I was falling asleep standing up. So my Bulmers had been drugged, and it was a May evening. So it was really bright outside. And within an hour and a half of arriving to the party, I was basically unconscious. Yeah.
How old were you then?
18.
And how did that come about? You being drugged and...
I wasn't drugged by the rapist. I was drugged by another person at the party, but I got one conviction. So that person who raped me is serving 8 years with 1 suspended. So he'll be out in August 28.
And why did the person drug you and then someone else raped you?
No idea. I don't know. I also could never get any criminal or justice for that element. So the only conviction I got was for the rape.
How did the rape come about? Were you dragged to a room?
So as I began to, I suppose, I was in the kitchen and I still had only literally arrived to the party. So I had not even moved. I came in the hall, went to someone I knew at the oven. She was the host of the party, so she was just doing a few nibbles and things like that. And I just knew her straight away. So I ended up just chatting away to her, and the Bulmers that I had brought with me, I'd brought 3 cans of Bulmers with me in a Dunn's bag stolen from my dad's garage. My mum and dad, I'd begged them to let me stay home alone for the first time on my own because I just turned 18. They weren't keen on it. They were going to my cousin's communion in Navan. And I said, I'm not going to another communion. I don't want to, all my cousins are on the bouncy castle. Like, I'm 18 now. Come on, let me stay home alone. And they were hemming and hawing, but then they said, okay, fine, we will. I'm the oldest of 4. So I came home from work and I was picked up and headed off to the party with the 3 cans of Bulmers in the Dunn's bag. But they insisted that they carried the bag in. So I was about a half an hour without any drink, but it did get handed to me then while I was at that countertop with a straw in it.
In the can?
In the can, yeah. So I began drinking, and the rest is really history after that.
And do you know what drug that they drugged you with?
They suspect it was a sleeping tablet, so that's actually a common drug to spike people with. You can get those anywhere.
Yeah.
Get them from your granny's house or cupboard or whatnot. Yeah. So a very strong.
So the people that brought you to the party insisted on carrying your drink in.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like this premeditated.
Yeah. So the judge in her sentencing, she said that this was a cold, predatory and premeditated rape with elements or indications of planning. And that was very validating to hear, to be honest.
Okay.
Those words were really important.
Yeah. But the person that spiked your drink, did you know who that was? Was that ever...
No, I never saw them, but it wasn't him. And he made that clear in the court case as well. That he didn't do the drugging. He just did the raping.
All right. Okay.
As if that
makes it any better.
Makes it better.
Were you going in and out of consciousness while you were being raped? Do you remember it happening? What happened during that night? And then how did you get home? Or...
I was brought up to the bathroom. So I was kind of falling down on the counter. So I was slowly heading towards the ground. So my legs started to stop working and just couldn't keep my eyes open. And then once I was nearly on the ground, that's when he came over to pick me up and then bring me upstairs. So he brought me and isolated me upstairs. And the rape happened in the most, I don't think any rape is not degrading, but mine was very degrading in the fact that my head was on the toilet, the bottom of the toilet, like I was on the floor. Yeah. And I was raped then while I went in and out of consciousness. So I woke up during parts of the rape and just went back into unconsciousness again. And then I have a really clear memory of him trying. So he put my clothes back on, and I know I had 2 legs in one side of my underwear. So he did his best to cover me, but he swung me around. So I'm not really sure what he was trying to do, but he wanted to move me over, and he lifted me up and kind of made me slouched and sitting up. He really wanted me to sit up. So he left me then. He just left me on the floor. And then I went into unconsciousness again. And then I woke up 7 hours later in a bed in that house, choking on my vomit. So I was basically dying. You know, I could have died. But I do wonder, you know, why did he kind of try to get me to sit up? You'd wonder what was going through his head, but he didn't care anyways, because he just left. I remember him walking out the door and just left me there. But
You couldn't move?
I couldn't move. Yeah.
And no one else came to check on you?
No idea. I have no idea who found me. They had all gone to the nightclub, that's for sure, because when I woke up, I was alone in the house.
And what did you do?
And it was morning again.
Okay. And the person that owned the house wasn't there. Everyone was gone. Okay. So what did you do then?
So I felt really, really like great relief, because I was so sick. It was like vomiting was just the most amazing relief. I was so ill. So I felt, how can you explain or even comprehend how you've just lost an entire night? I don't think I had registered anything at all. I just got on with it. It's amazing, like, what you just do, or you just power through. But you go into a trauma response straight away, and I just said, I need my bag. I need to go home, and I'm going to work. At work. It's really crazy.
And were you sore in your
So I was
area?
Bruised. Yeah. I was really sore on my back. My hips were sore, top of my head.
So you went home, you got showered, I gather.
Yeah.
And went into work.
Yeah, no thinking about, I didn't think about going to the SATU unit.
Explain what the SATU unit is.
Sexual assault treatment unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You knew that you'd been raped, but you just...
I knew something bad had happened, for sure, but I don't think I knew at that stage that it was rape.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually don't even think in that time when I was going to work, I think my brain actually did shut off what happened. It completely erased it. That's the power of your brain. Is just such a magical, amazing thing. What it does, it actually removes some memories to protect you. And then they eventually come back. And they come back through triggers or smells or some sort of, you know. So I did try to really piece back my night. I knew something terrible had happened. I would describe it as, you know, the videotape. And if you take that out, the film, and then cut it up and then put it all back together, it just makes no sense.
Okay.
That's how my night was. So I relied on a lot of people to help me fill in those blanks. But then they ended up just abusing me further in that workplace then.
Okay, so when you say they abused, was this a work party that you'd been to?
No, it wasn't a work party, no.
Okay. Did you work with your rapist?
Yeah.
Okay. So you went to the party, that awful event happened, you went home, you got dressed for work, went into work, knew that had something awful had happened, but your brain just went, okay, we're working now. This is what we're doing. So what happened that day then when you went into work? Was your rapist there? Were you confronted with them? What happened?
Yeah, so I went in, and the first thing was some girl came up to me and she was like, Jesus, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? No, I didn't know what she was talking about. Or probably I did, but I was like, I'm fine. And then there he was with his head down, extremely ashamed, which was extremely unusual for him. That's not the way he was. Arrogant, cocky, chest out, proud, try me kind of attitude. And for him to have his head down and be so coy, it wasn't him at all.
How old was he at the time?
He was 18 at the time as well.
Well, God.
Yeah.
And then tell me what happened then over the next number of days or?
So the next number of days, I probably tried to piece together from other people what happened that night and get a few more information. But I just powered on for 10 months, actually, until my sister was due to start working in that place too. And I just could not. She was trying on her shoes. She'd just done the induction. And I was trying to study for my leaving cert because it would be about June now at this stage. It was March, because it was on her birthday. It was the day I told my parents, yeah, because she was going into work to start there and he was still there and all of them were still abusing me. So
when you say all of them were still abusing you, what does that mean?
So they were singing rape songs. So they changed the lyrics of particular songs to "I'm Shay Noonan and I love to rape women," and then just random comments about rape. Like, we were working in a very confined place, so if I was ever near to him, they'd just say, "Don't get too close to her because you raped her once, you wouldn't want to do it again."
So did they find the rape funny? Who were they having a go at, you or him? Like, were they?
How do you even comprehend that behaviour, though?
I'm trying to understand what was going on in their heads.
Pure evilness. Yeah, I think.
And what was he doing when they were saying this?
I think it's a good thing that we don't understand. I don't really want to be at a place where I can actually understand that type of behaviour, because that makes it make sense, and it doesn't.
So they were making jokes, singing songs, and was he ashamed, or was he smiling?
Yeah, he hated every minute of it as well, obviously. Imagine trying to get away with something and people just keep reminding you what you did. I remember I asked one person, "Please, can you help me piece back this night? I just need some answers." And she said, "Shut the F up and just be glad he didn't get you pregnant. Don't ever talk to me about this again." And I didn't. It was the first person I ever tried to get help from, and I didn't ever try again after that. So I just sucked up the next 10 months, and it was just until my sister was going in that was really the final straw.
So they all knew that it had happened. Were they involved in the premeditation of it, these people, or?
I don't know.
Okay.
There was only one case.
Okay.
It was a premeditated and predatory rape. And that's it.
Jesus Christ. What way had that person been acting towards you in the lead up to that rape?
Oh, he never liked me. So I'm a pretty approachable person. I think I'm quite easy to talk to, and I'm sociable, and I think I am kind. So I like to talk to everyone, and I always give everyone a great chance, and probably too nice is what my mum would say. But oh my God, he never wanted to talk to me at all. Like, if you're in the staff room or something, you're just there and you make small talk with people,
Yeah.
One word answers, head down, grunting. He just didn't want to go there.
Okay.
So we never spoke, ever, because I'm not talking to someone who doesn't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So I just got on with,
Whatever
people who ever wanted to actually be around. Yeah, so he was a weird person, but he was always arrogant and cocky and thought that he was better than everyone else. But he just did not want to engage with me, that's for sure. Yeah, so don't know why. I don't know what goes through people's heads.
Yeah.
Strange.
So your sister's going for a job in the same company.
Yeah.
And that's when you go, "I can't have my sister working with this fucker." And you tell your parents.
Yeah.
And what happens then?
Well, my mum collapses on the floor, screaming for my dad, who was in the kitchen at the time. It was a Sunday, wailing. He comes in, "Who died?" And he just said, "It's Ciara." And he said, "What happened?" And she said, "Every parent's worst nightmare." And he just knew. what it was. Yeah.
Goodness me. Okay, so how were you feeling at this time? And then I suppose, how did you go on the path to trying to get justice?
Oh, so relieved. I'd been carrying this alone for 10 months. So I think it's so weird, but the first thing I said was, Mum, can I please just go and study now? I said, please just take it from me. Handle it. Do something. Just take it. Handle it so I can get on with my leaving cert. And, you know, my mum said, look, we just need to ring the guards, make a statement or report the crime, and then we'll follow your lead. And we did. We just reported the crime on the phone, but I wasn't ready to go into a statement. I actually just felt like the freest person in the world. It was amazing. I literally felt like, you know, the analogy of like carrying a weight on your shoulders. It genuinely felt like I just passed that to my parents and I just said, please carry it for a while because I need a break.
Yeah, okay.
And they did. So I did my leaving cert.
And how did you get through your leaving cert okay?
Well, I would have got a lot better if I wasn't going through this, but I got 450. So I was all right. Did fine.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I know, I was delighted,
congratulations for even getting through it. You were just carrying so much.
Yeah, carrying a lot. But I really do feel like I saved my sister. Yeah, that's probably the thing I'm most proud about. That initial thing was just saving her, because it was not a healthy place to go to. And she saved me in a way as well, because who knows how long I would have gone without telling anyone.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very positive way to look at it. So how were the Gardaí then when you reported it?
Good, yeah. They just reported the crime and took note of it. But I didn't then go forward with any... I didn't, for 5 years, want to get justice because I was just processing the attack. And that's how immense the trauma was, that it actually did take me 5 years to process what happened. If I could go back and see a script of my rape crisis notes, that are very topical at the moment, but if I could go back and see those counselling notes, it'd probably be just me asking the same question over and over again. I don't think it was rape. Are you sure it was rape? I didn't say no. Maybe I did this. Maybe I did that. Are you sure it was rape? It can't be rape. You can't say yes and you can't say no if you're unconscious. So that real deep understanding of what consent is so important. But it's something that survivors will go through, because actually when you accept that it was rape, that is a very, very felt impact that you can actually resist for a while by being in denial.
Because it's a lot for your body to process, or your mind to process, that you've been raped. Because the thought of it's not a nice word, the connotations, your body's been invaded, so many things to it.
Yeah. Denial protects you.
Yeah.
It really does. And I did that for 5 years. I denied what happened to me because that was easier to accept than the reality of actually what happened. That's a really common response to some sort of trauma like this as well.
So in those 5 years where you didn't want to seek, where you weren't interested in seeking justice because you're just processing it, were you going to the Rape Crisis Centre? Were you getting help in other ways?
Yeah, okay. I was going to the Rape Crisis Centre and private counselling, psychotherapy, but I would have gone through really, really turbulent years. I would have self-medicated, self-harming, drinking to complete oblivion, yeah. Numbing out the pain and telling people when you're so drunk. It's so regular. People just drink too much and then they just blurt this all out in the women's bathroom. So I've done that, traumatizing people. But yeah, on a night out, oh my God, imagine trying to have a nice time.
Sure, isn't that the thing? Like, we know the statistics are so high for women that have been sexually assaulted in some way. It's over 50% in their lifetime. And that's the staggering thing.
Yeah, it's frightening.
Yeah, it really is. So you're self-medicating, you're on the road to self-destruction in a way.
Basically, yeah.
Are you in college at the time?
Yeah, I am. I'm in UL. I'm in Limerick doing business and German.
Okay.
So I always loved learning languages. Irish and German would have been my best subjects in school. I just did business because my dad's an accountant and I was not in a good place. So if I needed help with my assignments, he'd be able to help me.
Okay.
So I strategically really chose something that I could just get a pass in. I just basically chose something to survive and get by.
And during this time, were your parents trying to encourage you to take this man to court, or were they just happy for you to go to your counselling and try and heal?
When you're a parent, I think my dad had to like restrain himself from like killing this person. And we were like...
So he was in the town, walking around?
In the town, yeah. Very intimidating. I moved away. I couldn't live in the same town as him, so I had to move to Germany after my college. I moved away because like he'd be walking down the town and he'd pretend to swerve his car like at you when I'm on the footpath. So he was, you know, my mum reported him to the guards as well. He was intimidating her, and it kind of escalated when I actually reported it. That's when he got extra. He started to kind of let the mask slip a little bit, then get really angry in public.
Jesus Christ, you'd wonder what was going on in someone's head, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he wasn't helping himself anyway.
And were his family intimidating, or were they...
No, I never knew what they were. And all of my family made concerted effort never to just... When we were walking through the criminal courts, we always just kept our head down. We didn't want to put a face to his family. So we still don't know what they look like. And they were in there every day with us. I just never... all of us just said we'd never want to look at them. And we didn't. I still don't know what they look like.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm glad, because I probably passed her in duns a million times. Like the mum or his brother or something. But that's better for me if I don't know that they're there beside me, you know.
So when did you finally decide to go for justice?
5 years. 5 years, yeah. I was up in my room cleaning out my drawers, and I found a letter that I'd written to the rapist, with never the intention to send it. It was just what my counsellor had actually told me would be helpful for my healing, to get the anger out or to express the pain that he'd caused, or just tell him in writing what he did. And I found the letter and I was like, what's this? With every other piece of junk that I'd kept over the years. And I read it and I was like, oh my God. And I ran downstairs and I went to my mum and I said, I'm ready. She was like, she didn't even ask. She knew. She said, okay, go up to Dad's office and photocopy the letter and we'll bring you down in the morning.
So was the path to justice difficult, or was it okay?
No, it wasn't okay for sure, yeah. It was hard, long.
You know the way a lot of survivors would say they feel they're on trial, not the actual perpetrator. Every single piece of their life has been picked apart, down to the colour of the pants that they were wearing on the night, etc. Did you feel like that? Was that done to you?
I never went on trial. He pleaded guilty after the jury was sworn in, and he freaked at the last minute and put in a guilty plea. I was upstairs in the victims unit getting sick because the guards came up and said 5 minutes till the cross-examination stand. And you don't want to know what that feels like. It's the worst thing ever, because we all know what happens on that stand. And I just pulled myself together and we were on our way down, and my Garda liaison officer came running up the stairs and she's like, go back. And we were all ushered into this room and she just said, great news. There's no trial. He's pleaded guilty.
And does anyone know why he did that?
No. Okay. No idea. Probably just got time off. So anyway, you don't even have time to process it. We're all about to the world fall out of you. You're just so distraught, but in a way, you're just how much can one how much can you cope with? You know, it's just such an intense place and experience, and you're obviously elated. And she just said, the judge is waiting for you downstairs, and everything's just so strict, you know. And we're like, all right, well, off we go. And we all march downstairs, and he's there, the jury are there, one of them is crying, and it's like, how do you plead? And he just says, I plead guilty. And the jury were dismissed for, I think, 10 years, and have a good day. And we all went home together. It's weird. Really
and
odd.
when did the judge deliver her verdict then? Or so he pleaded guilty, but the judge still said that it was a premeditated.
That's about two hearings later again.
So was there 2 other hearings?
So the next one then was my victim impact statement.
Okay.
Which would be framed as the sentencing. So I delivered that. And then the judge said, I need more time to consider sentencing. So we all go home again. And we come back another 3 months later.
Jesus, it's really long drawn out, isn't it?
Yeah.
And can I ask you, there's this whole talk nowadays about the defence getting access to the survivors' counselling notes and all that. That's all being talked about now.
Yes.
Do you know anything about where that stands still? Or I know that people are actually... why in the name of God does a perpetrator's defence attorney have access to a victim or survivor's counselling notes? What is the reason for that? Do you know where that?
Well, it's even worse. The accused person going on trial, he requests them through his defence. So it's all to uphold the rights to a fair trial for the accused. And in order to have a fair trial, they have to have access to all of the evidence that is available. And I suppose the argument is, how is our private counselling notes that we say in the sanctity of our safe spaces evidence that you didn't commit a crime?
Yeah.
If anything, it probably proves you did it more. But they use it against the victim in court, and that is the issue. The issue is that the defence uses it to undermine the credibility of the victim. So it's like a double-edged sword. You can't win, but actually going to counselling as a victim is like shooting yourself in the foot if you ever think of getting justice. So what I did was, I was tired of sending my notes back and forth because I was in Germany. And every time I went to one counselling session, I'd have to send my notes over. Well, the guards would pick them up. They'd be translated. And it was delaying my upcoming trial for about 3 months. So I said, feck this. I just want this trial to be over. So I'm going to stop my counselling. So I did, at a time when I needed counselling most. And then on the other side, victims may choose to continue with their counselling because it's life-saving therapeutic healthcare that they need, and forfeit justice. So it's like, what do you choose? Sophie's choice.
But how is it allowed to happen? That I get it. Oh, you know, I get it that like all the evidence has to be there.
Yeah.
But this is someone who did something horrendous to you. You're in counselling as a result of that, trying to get healing, and yet they can have access to all your notes. How is that fair?
It's not.
But how is it allowed? Sorry, I know you don't know the answers. I'm literally just...
I know.
It's more of a...
I know. It's everyone's question.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to the logical brain. But a lawyer will make it make sense, or the Minister for Justice will.
And is it the
make
same
it
in
make
every
sense.
country? Or is...
I don't think so. I do know that England were fighting a similar case.
Okay.
Yeah, so something similar. It makes sense, like it's an ongoing dispute, so it makes sense to some people for sure, because otherwise we wouldn't be still fighting it. And the fight is going to continue for a long time. It's not going to be, this counselling notes issue is not going to be solved in the near future.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's definitely another few years in it. But I'd love to be wrong.
Yeah.
It'd be great.
So after you gave your victim impact statement, then you're back 3 months later and the judge makes their ruling and their sentencing, is that right?
Yeah. then he's sentenced.
So what was the outcome of that? What was he sentenced to? I know you said that the judge ruled that it was premeditated, and that was very important for you that would have been said.
Yeah.
So can you just go into a little bit more detail about that, and then we'll go on to talk about the beyond surviving?
Okay, cool. He was sentenced to 8 years with the final year suspended. He'll serve 5 years and 3 months. And this is something, unless you are really clued in and you make yourself informed beforehand, it's something you find out after. Because once they step into prison, they get 25% off for expected good behaviour. So any sentence handed down by the judge, apart from murder, is minus 25. But the headlines will always say the full amount. But then you're told it's actually not. It's 5 years and 3 months. So
for expected good behaviour. So unless he doesn't...
So if he, I don't know, gets into a fight or something, probably the threshold is probably a lot more than that. I'm sure there's a lot of fights in there where they don't get much... their remission added back on, but yeah, expected good behaviour. Yeah. Okay. So it's to encourage them to not get into bad behaviour, because if they do, what they're told is that we'll add on the other 25% back onto your sentence.
So when's he due out?
August 28.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't go there.
Okay.
But it's inevitable, isn't it? I am very acutely aware, and this is why I'm definitely on the road and close to being healed. But I know that I'll never actually fully be healed, but I'm really doing so well that I know that he will serve his time, and I've made peace with that. He's not going to be away forever, and I've achieved justice to the fullest extent, and I should be very, very grateful for that, and that's how I feel today.
So to that end, I want to bring up your beyond surviving work that you're doing. Yep. Because you have a very unique perspective on what happened to you, where you're going to go within the future, and what you're trying to do to help other survivors. And I'm trying to always use the word survivor and not victim here as well, because I think sometimes it's easy for us to say victim when you've survived something terrible. So please tell us a little bit about what work you're doing there in that space, and then how many people you're helping, and the feedback that you're getting from other people that have used your services.
Yeah.
Is it services?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Beyond Surviving was founded on the back of my own lived experiences, and I had progressed tremendously through the invaluable work of the rape crisis centres and counselling and all of my trauma processing that I had done over the years. So I said, what's the next step for me? Where am I going now? My journey's really only beginning. But I found myself in a sector where it said that my journey was over. And that was extremely invalidating to my lived reality. When you survive domestic or sexual violence, it never goes away. This stays with you forever. And I'm a firm believer that service provision has to reflect that. You can't just get someone up to this point of survival and then, like I say, drop them in the middle of the ocean and for the rest of their life just expect them to find their way back to shore. I just said, this cannot be true. I need support. I need a next step. And I went home, and my case got quite a lot of media publicity and was covered a lot. So after those 2 weeks, once all the interviews were done, I just said, okay, where am I going now? I don't want to continue going back to my traumatic story over and over again in counselling. I just wanted to look a bit further ahead, but no one was looking there with me. And I describe it really as like, imagine you have a map and the first half is charted with the current infrastructure we have in domestic sexual violence sector. And the other side is blank. And you have to chart your own way with no support whatsoever. And that's how lost I felt. I felt so lost. I felt abandoned. I felt that no one understood me, because if they did, surely there'd be something here for me. Is this normal? I'd never met any other survivor. How do I even go and find a survivor? So I went on Instagram, looked for them, ended up meeting one of them that pretended to be a survivor. And I was like, this is nonsense. This is dangerous.
Pretended to be a survivor?
Yeah. So they weren't a survivor at all when I turned up. Thankfully, my boyfriend at the time was across the road. And I was like, okay, abort.
Was it another female or was it?
No.
Okay.
I was like, abort mission. But there was something in me that just...
Jesus Christ, that's almost like predatory. Almost predatory. That's scary that could happen as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm a firm believer that, I know it's very cringy, but everything does happen for a reason. And like these little things, I always find a way of like learning from them. And I'm like, this is not safe. You know, there has to be a safe way for survivors to come together. There's a group for everything. There's a group for alcoholics. There's a group for sex addicts. There's a group for gamblers. Why is there no group for domestic and sexual violence survivors? It's because of the shame attached to it. And we're like, no one, I just couldn't comprehend why it didn't exist. So I looked around and I said, what am I missing? I'm missing connection with other survivors. I feel like no one understands me. I'm the shame attached, and I just felt really hopeless about the future. So I set up my own charity. Now, I did a load of research, because you'll always be asked by the charity regulator, for anyone thinking of going down that route, can you merge with another charity, because you don't want to replicate services. But this didn't exist. There was no post-crisis service available. So I set up Beyond Surviving. Yeah, effectively what it says on the tin.
And what does it do? What do you do within that?
So we are survivor-led charity, and we support survivors through survivor support groups. Structured, come together, trained facilitators in small groups. So we're hoping to roll it out in 3 Irish cities next year. We also help survivors to engage in their own advocacy as well. So we have an advocacy, and you met Layla there. It's about giving survivors that sense of purpose. I experienced to the fullest extent what it feels like to create something meaningful and positive from your life. And it wasn't until I actually got to the stage where I was like, what am I experiencing? This is not post-traumatic stress. And I'm not depressed anymore, and I'm not anxious. But I feel like my experiences actually put me on this path that I enjoy going to work every day. I'm actually doing something so meaningful. And it turns out that it's post-traumatic growth and transformation that it can occur through. So it's the positive outcomes of the most horrific of experiences. And it's a relatively new scientific phenomenon that's only about 30 years old, which is actually young. And it's fascinating. And that's the place that I want to get moving from, beyond surviving to thriving. Thriving is growth after trauma. And that's what I want to, my life's work now is just helping survivors to also get there, to that place.
And do you think that some survivors just won't get there? Or do you think that there's always stepping stones? Or
that's very possible, yeah. It's circumstances, Laura. It really is. It's circumstances. It's circumstances that I didn't go down a bad path, or that I didn't, well, I did, but it's circumstance that I didn't stay down a bad path. My parents picked me up off the ground. I was in the worst of places. It's that support network that you have around you. That's the difference between surviving or not.
Yeah.
You know, we can't do this on our own. And that support is so, so important. It makes all the difference. Would not be here today if it wasn't for other people. This is by no means all of my own work. If anything, I'm the least of any of how I am today. It's my parents, my family, my friends, and the support of those support workers in rape crisis centres.
What effect did it have in your family, the whole experience? Apart from your mother being, I'm sure, and your dad and your siblings being absolutely distraught for you, this had happened to you.
Happened to everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens to everyone. So all of my family would have gone to the rape crisis centres. They actually also, I don't think enough people know that they support the families and friends of victims and survivors too. So they all went to the rape crisis centre. Everyone in my family processed it so differently. And that makes it really challenging when you're all living under the same household, because everyone is experiencing, be it trauma or vicarious trauma or secondary trauma in one house, and everyone is manifesting it differently. And that creates a lot of conflict. It's not an easy house to live in, because their pain is different to my pain. You know, my parents' regrets or the what ifs that they just didn't stop me from staying at home that night. I don't know what that feels like, but I can just imagine the guilt that they feel. And that's a different type of trauma and pain that they feel. And it's all living under the same household. So it's intense and it's really taxing on the family and friends.
Yeah.
My friends took it hard too, you know, it's not nice.
Can imagine. And then does the Beyond Surviving, does that help families too? Or is it more around the survivor?
Not yet. No,
okay.
We're very young and we're very new. So we really did launch in this year in January of 25. So we've just really built the organisational capacity this year, and we got onto the Social Entrepreneurs Impact Programme, nominated for one award. We have worked with over 160 individual survivors of both domestic abuse and sexual violence now in this 1 year alone, our first year, which was really amazing. Right. So that's where we're at, really. A lot of awareness raising will be a lot of our work as well, because the part of the journey that we're focusing on is really that post-crisis and long-term recovery. So the survivors that are actually coming to Beyond Surviving are older women. And I didn't expect that. Most of them are older women. So they're 55, 60, 70. We even had one woman who was 80. They're coming with unique needs, because sexual violence is most commonly perpetrated against younger women, right? Those women go to the rape crisis centres. Now, not all of them, and we know they don't. Only actually 1 in 5 will actually seek support in the rape crisis centres. But by the time these women get to Beyond Surviving, they've endured decades of healing on their own. They're also coming from a place with a lot more shame in society back then. So it's a really unique and interesting place to work, but it's just such a rewarding place at the same time to be able to help those survivors. And it just goes to show you that the pain doesn't go away.
And is it mainly for women or only for women, or is it for men as well?
No, it's all of our branding and our website, and we've really made the concerted effort to make sure that it's open to all genders. But so far, it's just women that have come to Beyond Surviving so far, yeah.
And how do you get money? How do you raise money? Or
we've had some successful, I know this doesn't sound good for sustainability, but we've had some really ad hoc successful fundraisers. So at the very beginning, we had a fundraise skydive. Dylan Gallagher, he's a survivor from Mayo. He did that and he raised, I think it was 12 or 15K in the first month of our existence. So that really helped me to really get the charity up and running. Like, it really covered a lot of costs in the initial. What else? Just fundraising. Yeah, just kind of a bit lucky. So we're looking into a sustainable stream. So that we don't have to rely on luck. State funding as well, that 2026.
And then in terms of your relationships, you mentioned that you had a boyfriend before, but how has what's happened what effect has it had on your romantic life?
A lot.
Okay.
But I'm only realising that now. So I chose my partners based on the level of self-worth that I held of myself. and they were not good. So actually, the first was 100% a domestic abuse relationship. He was not a nice person. He was controlling. And the second, he was just not for me either. But there's me saying it. And then combined, I would have spent 6 years with these two men. So it took me a while to notice. But I actually feel so happy and free on my own. I'm so excited to live. Isn't that weird?
It's not weird. But also, I think that you said yourself, it's post-traumatic growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've already acknowledged that you didn't have the self-worth to pick partners that would have been suitable or would have valued you or good enough for you.
Yeah.
So now, hopefully, with more growth and more healing and more self-worth, do you feel that you have the self-worth now? Do you feel that you value yourself the way you should? Or is there still an element of...
I value myself. I do. I would say I need to learn the difference between confidence and self-worth. I feel like I have them a bit mixed up in my head.
Okay.
Because I feel like I don't value myself until I feel confident, but that doesn't make sense. So I value myself. I do. I'm working on the confidence part. I think that's something that I'll always struggle with because it was knocked out of me for so long. I mean, I know where the confidence issues stem from, but I'll get there. Yeah, I know practice makes perfect and I'll aim for that, but I know no one's ever perfect.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I could talk to you about this for so much longer. Is there anything that we haven't addressed that you feel is important for people to know? Either for themselves or for others, or for the charity? I don't leave any stone unturned by not asking you a question that was important.
Well, I suppose what I just want to get across is that every survivor's journey is so different and so unique. And a lot of survivors would say, oh my God, I don't know if this is for me, or I don't know if I'm ready. But Beyond Surviving is a charity that's there for you if you are ready to meet other survivors like yourselves and to explore your healing journey with others who genuinely just understand from that mutual level, where you don't have to explain. There's no judgment. You don't even have to talk about your story at all or what happened to you. It's people who just can feel the same level of pain, because it's a pain that it's really difficult to explain unless you've, similarly to the loss of grief with suicide loss, it feels so much different to someone who's lost through old age. It's a different type of grief. And domestic and sexual violence, it is a grief in itself, because I grieve who I was, who I am, and who I wanted to be. And you're forced to just live in this. You can feel like you're just in a shell of a person and you're just forced to mosey along, not knowing who you are. So rebuilding your sense of identity is a really, really key part of healing and growth after traumatic experiences like this, because it knocks everything out of you, knocks how you view the world. What safety meant to you before is not what safety means to you now. And you have to navigate all of that. So the main reason Beyond Surviving was established was because healing from domestic and sexual violence is a lifelong journey, but it's one that I don't believe that you have to, if you don't want to, navigate alone. There has to be an option there, or a choice. And that's the underpinning fundamentals of trauma-informed work, is giving survivors that choice to choose what feels right for them. We need more options. There has to be more beyond traditional approaches like talk therapy and counselling. They can be done in tandem, of course, but we need to explore our healing journey and see what works for us, because what works for me won't work for everybody else, and vice versa. But you'll never know unless you try. So it's about giving survivors the options to fully heal
You said something before the podcast, and I said to you, could that offend people? And I'm trying to remember the context of what you'd said. You said it so much more eloquently than I could. And I don't want to say your words, but it was something to the effect of, you've grown so much from what happened to you, and you're delighted with the person that you are today. And that is post-traumatic growth, because you've grown from your experience. And I was saying to you, how do we say that in the podcast without sounding patronizing to people that are like, well, I haven't fucking grown.
Yeah.
I'm really pissed off. My life is totally different. Can you just maybe in your own words articulate what you'd said to me, just because it really is an interesting and positive way to look at things. But we, with both of us fully acknowledging that there may be many people out there that will not experience this.
Yeah. So it's just a different stage of your healing and recovery journey. And it's really important not to compare your journey to anyone else's. A lot of survivors would say, my experience was nothing like yours. And I'm like, I know, it's never going to be. Your experience was completely unique to your experience. We can't compare. And trauma is not what happened to you. So, you know, I always go back to the analogy or metaphor or whatever it is. If everyone in a shopping mall experiences a earthquake, we're all experiencing the same traumatic event, but everyone experiences the trauma differently on different levels. How can that be? It's because trauma is what happens inside of you as a result of what happened to you. So all of those 100 people who experience the traumatic event of the earthquake, Joe might have had a previous trauma in his life, and this just escalated it. So he feels trauma more than Siobhan. So we can never compare our traumatic experiences whatsoever. But in terms of where I am now with experiencing a lot of post-traumatic growth, I feel like I'm no longer in the fishbowl. I'm outside of it. So that fog has just lifted. I feel like I'm removed from my traumatic experience at the moment. It doesn't consume every single ounce of my being anymore. It's kind of just there. And I just kind of bring it with me, but it's not like weighing me down. But sometimes it might come up a lot, or might get triggered, and something might remind me, or there's a date. Traumaversary is what people say.
Goodness, I've never heard of that before.
Traumaversary. They're awful, the dates. They're awful. They never get easier. The 17th of July, 13th of May. I hate Christmas.
Do you?
I do, because he ruined Christmas for me. And also, I live in the same town as a lot of people who abused me, and they still live there. So Christmas is a trigger for all of us.
When you say the people that abused you, is the people that you were in work with that were singing those songs, and actively goading what had happened. That just applauding it.
Yeah. So for all my family, actually, Christmas is a real trigger. We don't particularly enjoy it, because those would have been the nights where my mum would have to pick me up crying because Shay Noonan was there and intimidated the hell out of me in a pub when I was trying to celebrate with my friends. And I'd have to go home crying. She picked me up for literally consecutively every Christmas. So I don't like Christmas. It just triggers me. I do, but I don't like going out. So the trauma can come up, and I just don't feel like it's covering me with fog anymore. I actually just feel a sense of clarity now. And in terms of what you were asking there, and like, when you're in crisis, you won't be able to see that. You can't think that far ahead, because you're immersed in your trauma and where you are right now. So in terms of counselling, or if counsellors are looking to apply post-traumatic growth, and I'm not a counsellor, I'm not a medical profession whatsoever. I just learn. I love learning, and I love studying things that interest me. But you wait for that person to say something themselves that indicate maybe a sign of post-traumatic growth. So they may say, I feel like I'm such a stronger person now because of what happened to me. That's post-traumatic growth. Or I now know who my real friends are. Or I've found a job that brings me life and meaning and purpose because it's giving back. Like, have you ever gone to a fundraiser for breast cancer? Every person there has got a lived experience somewhere in their family. That's purpose and meaning. That's post-traumatic growth.
That's a really good way of explaining it. So much more articulately than I could have done. But you're the person that said it.
But I'm just obsessed with it. That's why.
But it's so interesting to me hearing it, because it's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah. I mean, we only hear about post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety and depression and all the deficits that come. So one would wonder sometimes, everyone always says, you're not even your mum today, she goes, it doesn't define you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know it doesn't, but no one's helping me to focus on the positives or to focus on the strengths that I've actually acquired because of this, you know?
Yeah.
So we can say all these things and we can say that it doesn't define you, but we also need to broaden our approach to help move towards a more strength-focused healing and recovery, really. You're not really going to fully heal if you constantly look at how much you've lost, how depressed you are, how much anxiety you have, all that's wrong with you, all that you're broken.
Yeah.
So that's what I bring to Beyond Surviving. It's just that the other side of the coin. And I hope then the sum of all the parts and our collaborative work within the sector will then hopefully bridge that gap and create a real healing, true healing and sustained healing for survivors. That's my aim in my life now.
Oh my goodness, the best of luck with it. I just think what you're doing is amazing. And you're an amazing lady. You really are. And I hope that you, get the support that you need from financial support, because I know that everyone charity needs this financial support.
Yeah.
But also that you get the recognition within the sector. And even I was talking to you before we came on about getting speaking engagements and things like that. And it's so important, I think, that people like you and other survivors are brought on to panels, into workplaces to speak candidly about how people can go forward, but then not just as the token survivor, isn't that right? Because
we're not a tick box, you know. We actually bring value, and you've actually made me realize as well that I do have value. I do value myself. I'm afraid to ask to be paid.
Well, I'm telling you now, like a lot of ladies, I would see that a lot. So I think that in order to value ourselves, we need to put a price on our time and the time it takes to prepare for a talk and the time it takes to get to it. Of course, loads of us do pro bono stuff. We all do, and that's important. But I think that it's important to have that conversation.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
And anyone that wants to shut a conversation down like that is not.
Yeah. Did you know women stopped being paid recently? So the last 5 weeks of the year, women stopped being paid. We still live in a world where men and women are paid differently.
Oh, I know.
I'm like, why? If it's the most simple, there's people in the world working tirelessly day in and day out for gender equality. And like not to patronize anyone who is actually working really hard on this, but like the first place I would start is making sure women and men are paid the same. Like, why are we still paid differently? It's one of the most basic kind of things. I just don't understand what the rationale behind it is.
I know, it's interesting, isn't it? So what advice would you give young people today, Ciara?
That you never have to suffer in silence. There's support there. Reach out to the National Helpline, Dublin Rape Crisis Centre, any of the rape crisis centres in your vicinity. Tell a friend. Just tell somebody that you feel that you could trust, because a problem shared is a problem halved, and it really is. It can really be that step forward to you getting support, and you don't need to deal with it on your own, because unfortunately it's 52% of women in Ireland So if it's not her, it's her. And there's no need for you to suffer in silence. There's support out there, but that's easier said than done, right?
And what's the meaning of life?
Oh God. Do you ask everyone on the podcast this question?
Yeah, did you not get the email?
No, sorry.
Layla mustn't have given it to
stop.
you.
What's the meaning of life?
But it's actually, do you know what? If you don't have too much time to think about it, it's actually better.
It's doing something greater than yourself. It's not self-interested at all. It's the meaning of life is giving to others, because we're social animals. We're here to be together. I'm nothing without others, and I think everyone brings something unique to the table. I think it's unique to everyone as well, the meaning of life, isn't it? We probably got loads of different answers.
So many different answers, yeah.
I'll have to go through them. Yeah, mine's probably crap.
No, it's not. Yours is wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
for chatting to me.
Yeah, thanks for holding such a safe space and for being so kind, and I felt really comfortable, so thank you.
Oh, that's great. I felt comfortable too. It was lovely to have the conversation, and I hope this brings more awareness to the public about what you're doing, the really good work that you're doing, and I'll put all the information about your organisation in the show notes too.
Great. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Glow from the inside out with my Fabu Skin, Hair and Nails Glow, which blends 12 active ingredients including reishi mushroom, amino acids, vitamins and minerals to support collagen production and skin, hair and nail health on a cellular level. See the amazing before and after pictures of fuller, thicker hair, radiant glowing skin and longer, stronger nails on fabuwellness.com. Available on fabuwellness.com and in pharmacies and health food stores nationwide.